episode.
Boy, do I need a drink.
A deed is a legal document regarding the ownership of property or legal rights.
On this episode of
Remakes,
What Were They Thinking? We tackle the theme of Mr. Deeds with Frank Capra's 1936 original Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, following it up with the 2002 Happy Madison production of Mr. Deeds. What's our plot, Anne?
The story centers around a small-town man who inherits a massive fortune, and he's immediately hounded by those who want to take advantage of him. And the story is based on a short story called Opera Hat, written by Clarence Buddington Kelland. The story was published in 6 monthly installments in the American Magazine in 1935.
Huzzah! So we're gonna need some props.
No, it's called Mr. Deeds, Mr.
But we always use the dolls.
No.
How about the cute cat then?
No. Fortunately, we have a friend who's loaned us her Ken and Ken's loser friend.
To represent the 1936 original Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, we have Ken.
Ooh.
I don't see the appeal of this. To represent the 2002 remake, Mr. Deeds, we have Ken's loser friend.
Check out the pants.
Yikes. Okay, so since both films have a severely basic and similar plot, we're going to attempt to go back and forth between the 1936 original and the 2002 remake using Ken and his loser friend. Here we go, starting with the 1936 original.
So in 1936 version, we've got Gary Cooper playing Longfellow Deeds. He lives in a small town called Mandrake Falls, and he is a pillar of the community. He's a volunteer fireman. His passion is playing the tuba. Actually, they use a baritone in the movie. Oops. And he loves to write poetry. So he's kind of a romantic gentleman.
Yes and no, because he says that he is looking for a woman in distress who he can fall in love with and marry. Why is it you need the broken one, man? Also, he has a very short fuse. If he is upset or angry at something, he tends to beat people up. So clearly, Longfellow needs to join a fight club with me.
He's got a temper.
Whereas in the 2002 remake, we have Adam Sandler, who plays Longfellow Deeds. He lives in the same town, Mandrake Falls, but he's very active with his community.
Oh, they love him.
He has a pizzeria. He goes above and beyond with everyone, with his community, the neighbors, whatever you want to call them. Pretty easygoing. Instead of writing poetry, he writes greeting cards. Yikes.
And he reads them to the people at his pizza place, and they're all like, oh, they can't wait to hear the next card.
They worship the ground that he walks on. So in both films, what happens to Longfellow Deeds?
Both of them inherit a huge amount of money from an uncle they did not know they had.
How much money did he get in the 1936 version?
$20 million.
And what about in the 2002 remake?
$40 billion.
Huh. Must be nice to have an uncle with money. So where does Longfellow Deeds end up when he finds out he's inherited millions or billions?
Well, in both films, Deeds has to go to New York City.
My home away from home!
In the 1936 version, his former uncle's executive of the estate is an attorney by the name of John Cedar. So he wants to bring him back to New York City to sign the papers. So we think.
Oh, but what about in the 2002 remake?
The person in charge of that fortune is a CEO of a media company that his uncle Preston Blake had owned. So it's Blake Media. That was his uncle.
Interesting. So unfortunately, when one inherits millions and or billions of dollars, the media and or the tabloids try to attack your good-natured personality with garbage stories.
So in the 1936 version, the media was, of course, the main newspaper. The editor of the newspaper wants to send out his main reporter, whose name is Babe Bennett.
But she pretends to be Mary Dawson.
She goes undercover as a typical small-town girl and tries to get to know and woo Longfellow so she can take advantage of whatever story he might hold.
She faints in front of him, and he's like, "Are you a woman in distress?" And he falls for her because, he's a basic guy and, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, she's just a bitch who's a gold digger.
And how about the 2002 version?
In the 2002 version, instead of the newspaper, we have Inside Access, which is essentially like an Entertainment Tonight TMZ gossip garbage show. And Babe Bennett is a producer / occasional reporter played by Winona Ryder, who I don't understand why they cast her in this movie.
Neither.
And so she goes undercover as Pam Dawson, which why she can't be Mary, I will never understand.
And when she goes undercover, she wears a camera and she's going to get pictures of him in compromising positions.
He finds her in Rockefeller Center and she's getting mugged, which by the by, you don't get mugged in Rockefeller Center because there's tons of people all the time because it's the #1 tourist spot.
That's what she was saying. She goes, there's not many people there.
There's always people there. There are always people there. I mean, it's right off of Fifth Avenue. Anyway, okay. So, again, she's also a raging, gold-digging bitch. But then she falls for him, and then, blah, 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 blah. And this is just a basic garbage story. So what happens to the money?
In the 1936 version, Longfellow Deeds has had a good time around New York City spending his money, and people are noticing that, and they're criticizing him for it. And then all of a sudden he realizes he should be more philanthropic. So he realizes, it comes to his attention, that farmers are hurting. Farmers are hurting. How about I give money to farmers so they could have a plot of land and they could work their soil and earn money, so on and so forth. But you know what? Lawyer won't have it. Guy's got to be crazy to do that. So we need to have his mental capacity evaluated. Right?
Okay, so here is where I actually cannot stand the movie. So we're going to get a little Siskel and Ebert on you.
It's Siskel and Ebert time.
So in our production meeting the other day, I felt as though that this was the part of the movie that basically the screenwriter was on a deadline, could not meet the deadline, and said, well, why don't we throw him in a hearing regarding his mental health? In no point is this necessary. I would have loved to see how the farmers spent their money and how he went back to see them or whatever, or maybe when he finds out that Mary Dawson is Babe Bennett, maybe he would have thrown something, because every scene that he is upset with something, he ends up either throwing something or punching someone, and I would have loved to seen his anger over her lie.
And what bothered Kerri is the fact that Longfellow Deeds is sitting in the courtroom and he's not saying anything. He's like this.
It's a pointless scene. And so, honestly...
And Babe had declared that she loved him, but the point is, he had just found out that Babe was the one that was writing these terrible stories about him. So that's why he sat there. He was trying to figure out...
it's just
he was giving up.
No, the entire thing is just badly written. It's great up until he's giving money away, and then all of a sudden this hearing comes up, and we're sitting there for 15 minutes of the movie watching it. And again, I don't like it in Miracle on 34th Street. I don't like it in this movie, and it's just, to me, it shouldn't matter why he's giving his money away. He's trying to be a good person. Let these people be good people and not 1%ers who hate those without money.
So basically what I was trying to explain was, in the 1930s and early 40s, many old movies had court scenes to establish that someone's a good person. So people from Longfellow's town came in to speak about him.
I think it just
and to tell him how good he is when what his good deeds are. It was the way that movies were told back
But I
then.
feel like it's such a weak way to present an idea on film. So congratulations. After 20 episodes, you finally get to see us rant full blast without any editing.
a bona fide rant.
Hmm.
So what happened to the money in the 2002 version?
I don't know.
It wasn't really very clear. I
No.
mean, he donated it, but then there's still money in the company.
Yeah.
So then there's a meeting, a stockholders meeting. So then, that's basically almost the same thing as the
And then there's some Adam Sandler, Happy Madison production, stupid
You
jokes
see a
and
lot of
everything.
people sitting there gloating about their money.
And then suddenly they talk about the fact that spoilers, he's not the one who inherits the money because apparently his uncle had an illegitimate son with his maid, and that son is now a butler who works in the mansion.
I gotta say, I get some satisfaction from the ending. It may be a little weak, but I get some satisfaction that somebody else is going to stick it to the big business. I really did.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of give up on this movie every time I watch it. You get to that 75%, and then you're just
and they're like, well, what are we going to do about the end? Hurry up, we've got to finish this up, right?
Yeah.
And what about the relationship? In both of the pictures, the way the relationships ended, it was so weak.
Yeah. No, he ends up with her, which I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they added on to it with the 2002 version.
Mm-hmm.
They made this whole big scenario with Babe and, whatever. So, I mean,
So I think we're going to wrap things up because I think we went too far with our rants, and I think we're getting a very emotional and heated over two very basic films.
well, we just morphed into Siskel and Ebert, that's all.
Sure. Okay.
Do you have a favorite version that you prefer? Which Mr. Deeds?
Okay. This is a loaded answer because I actually started to really enjoy the 1936 original by Frank Capra. I adore It's a Wonderful Life, and he did that one. And so I was really starting to adore Mr. Deeds Goes to Town until we had the whole mental health, hearing. Again, that was so unnecessary. I do not agree with it. And for that matter, I think I would watch it up until that point and then call it a day, because up until that point, the rest is garbage. If I'm bored, or if I'm sick, or if I'm hungover, then I'm going to watch the 2002 Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler, because you can't go wrong with an Adam Sandler Happy Madison production. However, I typically get bored during 75% of them. You start with 75 and then right as he finds out who Babe really is, that's when I start to go, okay, I'm done.
You want the hour-long version.
I guess both films have some little problems towards the end. Towards that, when you're supposed to have that climactic point,
Yeah.
that's when both of them fall short for me. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like the classic. I love my old pictures.
Oh yes, black and white. They're so wonderful.
And I've never really seen a lot of Gary Cooper shows, so, there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the 2002 version. Now, you never know what you're going to get with an Adam Sandler picture. Sometimes he can be way over the top. He wasn't this time. He was just enough. I do appreciate, if you compare the two films, I appreciate the fact that they followed the themes. They followed, for the most part, the storyline. And they added on to some parts that didn't need to be added on. Mm-hmm. But they did follow the film pretty well. It wasn't a bad remake.
Well done.
So they weren't too terrible. So I don't think I have a preference. I think I like them both. Mm-hmm. It's not my favorite classic picture of all times.
No.
But I did like it.
No.
And it's probably one of my more likable, more able to watch Adam Sandler picture.
We'll take it any day over
Mame! Episode 13. Oh my goodness, you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to finalize our film for the next episode.
Whoops.
So you know what? Mm-hmm. Maybe our viewers could help us.
You mean our 12 viewers who adore us?
So, put a pad by the TV where you write your ideas if you get an idea.
We have an Instagram. You guys follow us on either Twitter or on Facebook. We have a blog. So instead of doom scrolling on garbage social media, why don't you let us know what you want us to review.
That would be fun, right?
That would be perfect for
Sure.
episode 21. We'll even be sure to say your name, maybe show a cute little picture of you. You know, maybe we'll use the dolls. I mean, you know.
So, until then, stay healthy,
Stay safe.
watch some movies.
We love you.
We love you.
We love you.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye.